Joburg Mayor Mpho Phalatse will give details on why she thinks she, of course, understands there's a motive behind her ousting. And former President Jacob Zuma is heading to court for the private prosecution of Prosecutor Billy Downer and journalist Karyn Maughan. But for this and other stories we can expect in this week, we're now joined by political analyst Professor JJ Tabane, my esteemed, highly esteemed colleague of Power to Truth right here on. I knew you were going to give me that smile because you know you are top 5 and you aim number 5. All right, good morning to you, JJ.
Morning to me. It's good to talk to you.
It's good to talk to you. Let's talk about what's expected come 10 a.m. Mpho Phalatse, of course, believing there is actually a motive behind her ousting. I mean, there's also that court case pending.
Yeah. Look, I mean, the key, obviously, this is a big story that's unfolding for two reasons. One, the fact that if Mpho Phalatse does win her case, it will mean that all of what you saw this weekend with the announcement of the new MECs will all be scrapped, and her executive will be back on the saddle, even if it's only for a week or two, which will be quite chaotic for the citizens of Johannesburg. But I suppose that in terms of a matter of principle, and I think that's what she'll be telling us this morning, right? If governments can just be removed at the whim, we are going to have absolute chaos in our governance. So it's something that it's a bittersweet pill to swallow, that you don't want a situation where on Wednesday, depending on whether they'll give the judgment tomorrow in this court case, you know, you've got the old executive back and the new executive out. That's a big logistic, you know, of security, of what you call political appointments being unsettled. So all the people who are working for the mayor and the MMCs and so on, they essentially have to find other jobs, right? So that's the big thing about it. The second thing is this is planting a seed for what's going to happen in Ikuruleni and in Tshwane.
Right.
So the way that this is handled will affect those two cities. And the DA, in fact, there is an action essay, I think, that is hinting that, both cities may also fall where the DA is ousted. It's actually chaotic to the extreme. And I think if you look at what Panyaza Lesufi has done, he has appointed a new MEC to just deal with the issue of cooperative governments and the coalitions. I had Leboga Maile on my show last week, and it's clear that there is a big issue around coalition governments that needs full attention. I see that a new MEC on that score has been, his name doesn't come to mind immediately, but it shows that there is a big issue about coalitions that needs to be attended to.
And that was my next point, JJ, because I mean the DA has been in the spotlight not only with Mpho Phalatse, but if we head to KwaZulu-Natal, DA leader Zwakele Mngxangwa as well, tendering his resignation. He first resigned from the provincial legislature and then later on from the DA.
Absolutely. They're going to have their hands full explaining themselves because they seem to be losing black leaders. We remember Van Damme was the latest one. I mean, nobody thought Van Damme would leave. 45 is the MP, in fact, one of the best MPs probably that are in that parliament, regardless of party, but leaving their ranks, right? Following all the other bodies before that, your Hemen Mashabas, your Musi Maimanis. So, you know, you could say without exaggeration that there's an exodus of black leaders out of the DA. And I have it on good authority that they're worried that with what happened in Joburg, they may also be in danger of losing more people. And they're crossing their fingers that they don't lose somebody like Mpho Phalatse, who, by the way, is touted to be a future leader of some kind of the DA, not just as a mayor or a civil servant. So the DA will have to be doing a lot of explaining. It can't be that all these people from Patricia de Lille to Van Damme and so on are telling lies about, if you like, the toxic culture within the DA. You remember that even in the coalition collapse, there was a lot of discussion about what we call DA arrogance, that is said to have collapsed the coalition because instead of giving local leaders a chance to lead and handle local politics, there seems to be an overbearing, if you like, involvement of people like Helen Zille at the top, but also in a manner that belittles their coalition partners. How do you explain that there's Selim Simanga, who's a provincial leader, a day before the voting, where they needed all their partners to be at one in terms of how they save Johannesburg, right? An opinion piece, basically just calling, his coalition partners' names, calling them minions and what have you. And how do you get surprised when they vote the other way,
Yeah, that's a call for concern, I suppose, for the D as well to consider. Just briefly before I let you go, JJ, I want to talk provincial cabinet reshuffle. It's been interesting to look just across the board. I mean, Stan Mathabata being on one side praised and then on the other side criticized for his cabinet reshuffle. Mandla Msibi in Mpumalanga making a return to the provincial cabinet, but Panyaza also kind of shaking his cabinet there a bit. What did you make of Panyaza's decision?
Yeah. The Panyaza thing was a shocker. I think that, Pax, I've got a lot of time for Pax Tau, God bless him, because he left national government to come to the to provincial government not so long ago. And nobody expected that out of all the reshuffles, you would then target somebody who, in fact, would have said to have made a sacrifice to leave a cabinet, almost a cabinet post, to provincial government. Remember, and by the way, what's said is that he probably didn't know about it, right? Until the last minute, which he must have serious resilience, Pax, because you remember when Mashawa took over in 2016, he had also no clue. In fact, they had a press conference.
Oh, we're losing audio from you, JJ. There we go. We found you. Just finish your point.
Yeah, he was ousted, and was without a job the very next day, in terms of the city. So very interesting there. Msibi, very, very interesting that he had stepped aside on murder charges, and then the sooner those charges are dropped, the sooner he runs back to his position. I don't think that looks good at all for the ANC. Because we do know that, on such issues, there's hardly a smoke that is without fire, particularly in a province like Mpumalanga, that is known for these sorts of things, assassinations and so on. So not a good idea what has happened there. They could have found something else for him to do. Mathabate firing 3 MECs, all of these reshuffles have to do with political loyalties ahead of December. So that they have nothing to do with service delivery, because if they had something to do with service delivery, I think that even in Gauteng, they should have let Mapura finish his term. They are praising him as having done well and so on. So why remove him before his term is over, other than politics? And if you like, a precursor to the December conference and then the 2024 elections.
All right, well, of course, bearing in mind that it is indeed elective conference season for the ANC, I suppose when you watch these events, one has to just watch them with a pinch of salt. But thank you so much for giving us that context and talking to us this morning, Professor JJ Tabane, host of Power to Truth, right here on ENCA.